What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the all-new Cadillac CT4-V Blackwing. We're going to deep dive into some specs, compare it against some other cars, and of course run some drag races. On my screen here you can see the full list of specs. This car is going to start at around $60,000. I have the 10-speed version on the screen. The curb weight is coming in right around 3,900 pounds. This is a rear-wheel drive setup. It's also available with a 6-speed manual transmission. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 that makes 472 horsepower and 445 foot-pounds of torque. Cadillac hasn't released all the details on the motor and all the details for the drag coefficient, so I'm estimating the coefficient of drag at 0.33 and peak horsepower to happen at 6,000 RPMs with peak torque happening at 2,500 RPMs. Let's look at the first competitor. We're going to compare this to the BMW M3 Competition, so the automatic version of the M3. So on my screen here you can see the quick side-by-side spec comparison. We have the M3 on the left and the CT4-V on the right. You can see they're pretty similar on paper. 10-speed transmission versus 8-speed, pretty similar weights, 3,800, 3,900 pounds. Power numbers are really similar, 472 horsepower in the Cadillac versus 503 in the BMW, although the BMW is making a bit more than that because it's underrated. So pause the video here if you want to keep looking at the specs. I'm now going to hop over to the drag race simulator. You can also go to motormatchup.com and see all these car specs for yourself. So I've set up a quarter-mile drag race on a street surface. We have the BMW M3 on top and the CT4-V on bottom. Let's see what happens. So both are struggling for traction right off the bat. We see a 3.70 to 60 in the Cadillac, and remember that's with 1 foot rollout subtracted. And through the quarter in the Cadillac we see just under 12 seconds, so 11.98 at 117 miles an hour versus 11.6 at 123 in the BMW. We're now going to do a rolling race from 50 miles an hour, so this will go a half mile. BMW's on top, and right off the bat we can see it gets the jump. The Cadillac isn't too far behind, but it's just slowly going to lose ground over time. And yeah, the BMW just has a lot more power, so it's going to keep pulling. And we'll see the 60 to 130 times in a second. About 9.1 in the M3 versus 11.1 in the Cadillac. I've gone ahead and thrown in another high-power rear-wheel drive sedan into the mix. It's the Charger Hellcat. So on the bottom is the Hellcat. And we can just throw it in and see how it does compared to the other two. So it's the same drag race as before, quarter mile, just with the Hellcat on bottom. And we can see the Hellcat's pretty on par with the BMW. But the CT4-V is just falling slightly behind, so they all provide great value for the money, especially the Cadillac. These are obviously not real-life tests or real-life results. This is coming from a physics-based drag race simulator in optimal conditions, so assuming you could do 50 launches back-to-back on a great surface, these are the results you would likely see. If you want to learn more about the drag race simulator or you want to use it for yourself, it's all free to use. You can use it on motormatchup.com. You can race any of these cars. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope I showed you something interesting, and I hope you got some value from this. I'll see you guys next time.